He told me he'd take the night shift so I could rest after my miscarriage. I woke up at 3 a.m. alone. Checked the doorbell camera. He wasn't at work, he was across the street in her apartment. When I asked him why, he said, "You were too broken." That night, I slept at my sister's. The next day, I sent her the footage and a key. My name is Elise. I'm 34 years old, and I live in Cincinnati, Ohio. I was married to Marcus for 8 years. We were together for 12. I thought I knew him. I thought we were solid.
Turns out I didn't know anything.
3 months ago, I had a miscarriage. It was our first pregnancy. We had been trying for almost 2 years. The day I found out I was pregnant, Marcus cried. That was the first and last time I saw him show real emotion about it. When I lost the baby, it felt like a piece of me died. It wasn't just physical pain, it was emotional. It was grief. My body was weak, my heart even weaker. Marcus said all the right things at first. He held me while I cried. He brought me soup. He told me he'd handle everything. Then, a week after the miscarriage, he said he'd start taking extra night shifts so I could rest. He worked security at a shipping warehouse across the river in Covington. Night shifts weren't new to him, so I didn't think twice. The first few nights, I was too numb to even notice if he was home or not. I'd wake up around 4 a.m. sometimes, and he'd be gone. I assumed he was working like he said. I was just trying to survive. Then one night, Thursday, I woke up around 3 a.m. and something didn't feel right. It was too quiet. The bed next to me was cold. I checked the time again. 3:08 a.m. He was supposed to have left for work around 10:30 p.m. like usual. I opened the doorbell camera app on my phone, half asleep, expecting to see footage of him leaving for work. But what I saw made my blood run cold. At 10:35 p.m., he left the house. But instead of getting in his car like he always did, he walked across the street. Apartment 2B. I watched as he knocked on the door. Madison opened it. She was wearing a robe, barely covering anything. He stepped inside like it was the most normal thing in the world. That was the moment something in me broke for good. I stared at the footage for a long time. I felt like I couldn't breathe. My hands were shaking so bad, I almost dropped the phone. I watched him leave her apartment around 4:45 a.m. He walked back across the street like nothing had happened. Like I didn't exist. Like I hadn't just lost our child. I couldn't sleep after that. I laid there pretending to sleep, while he slipped back into bed. He even had the nerve to kiss my shoulder. I waited until morning. I didn't say anything. I wanted to see what he'd say on his own. He acted like everything was normal. Made coffee.
Talked about work.
I couldn't look at him. Later, when I finally confronted him, I asked, "Did you go to work last night?" He hesitated for just a second and said, "Yeah, why?" I showed him the footage. He didn't look surprised, just annoyed, like he was being inconvenienced. Then he said it. "You were too broken. I needed normal." I don't even remember what I said next. My ears were ringing. My heart was pounding so hard I thought I might pass out. He didn't apologize. He didn't beg. He just sat there, arms crossed, like a man who'd already moved on. That night, I packed a bag and drove to my sister's. I didn't explain much. I just told her I needed to get out. She didn't ask too many questions. She just hugged me and let me cry. The next morning, I sent Madison the footage. No words, just the clip. Then, I dropped an envelope with a copy of our house key in her mailbox. I wanted her to see what he really looked like in our house. I wanted her to sit on our couch, drink from our mugs, and sleep in the bed where he left me bleeding alone after our baby died. A few hours later, Marcus texted me. "What the hell did you do?" I didn't answer. I wasn't done. I'm not the type to scream in the street or break his windshield. I'm not the type to beg him to come back either. I'm the type who waits, who watches, who plans. He thought he could break me. He had no idea who I really was. The day after I sent Madison the footage and the key, I waited. I stayed at my sister's house. She lives about 15 minutes away from our place, in a quiet neighborhood just past Norwood. Her guest room is small, but it was warm, and she didn't ask too many questions. She knew something was seriously wrong. That's just how we are. We don't press, but we show up. By noon, Madison hadn't replied. Not a text. Not a call. But Marcus? He blew up my phone. 11:42 a.m. What the hell is wrong with you? 3 p.m. Why would you drag her into this? 12:05 p.m. Don't think you can just disappear. 12:07 p.m. We need to talk. I'm not doing this over text. I didn't respond. I turned my phone on Do Not Disturb and went downstairs. Around 3 p.m., my sister came into the kitchen with a weird look on her face. Elise, she said, holding out her phone. You need to see this. It was a Facebook post. Madison had posted it. A picture of the house key. And this caption. When the wife finds out. And sends receipts. Guess I wasn't the only one being lied to. Grimacing face, the comments were a mess. People were tagging Marcus. Calling him out. Some were laughing. Others were saying stuff like, karma always comes. Madison didn't tag me, but the message was clear. She was done with him too. That night, he showed up at my sister's house. He knocked like he owned the place. I was upstairs, heard the knock, and looked out the window. His truck was parked right out front. My sister opened the door. She didn't even try to be polite. You need to leave. I need to talk to my wife, he said. She doesn't want to talk to you. He tried to push past her. That's when I came down. You should go, I told him, standing behind my sister. He looked at me like he didn't recognize me.
Elise. Come on.
You can't be serious. I didn't say a word. I just stared at him. You made this a whole public thing? Really? You had to humiliate me, he said, stepping forward. My sister moved in front of me. Get off the porch. You think you're better than me? He snapped at me. You think this makes you strong? I could have lost it right there, but I didn't. I kept my voice steady. You left me alone after I lost our baby. To go screw the woman across the street. I don't think I'm strong. I think I'm finally awake. He didn't have anything to say to that. He left after a minute of standing there, realizing he had nothing to hold over me anymore. But that wasn't the end. That weekend, I went back to our house while he was at work. I still had access. Half of everything in there was mine. My sister came with me. We didn't trash anything. We packed every single thing that belonged to me. Clothes, books, photo albums, my mom's old jewelry. I left the wedding album behind. I left my engagement ring on the kitchen counter. But before I walked out, I took something he didn't expect. I took the safe from the closet. See, most people don't realize how easy it is to crack a cheap home safe when you know the person who bought it. Marcus always used the same code, his old football jersey number, 46. Inside was $3,200 in cash. Emergency fund, he called it. I took it. And I didn't feel guilty for a second. He'd left me bleeding on our bathroom floor, then crawled into another woman's bed the same night. He could figure out his own damn emergencies. I moved into a short-term rental in the city after that. My sister helped me set it up. She even bought me a little coffee table from Facebook Marketplace. I started therapy. I started sleeping through the night again. And for a while, I thought that would be the end of it. But 2 weeks later, I found out something that made everything worse. It wasn't just Madison. He'd been doing this for years. I was getting used to the quiet. The rental was a small 2-bedroom in Walnut Hills, with a slanted floor and weird plumbing noises at night, but it was mine. For the first time in years, no one was coming in and out at odd hours. No lies. No pretending. It had been almost 2 weeks since I last saw Marcus. I blocked his number after he sent a string of texts that swung from apology to rage to guilt-tripping and back again. I told my lawyer to handle it. We weren't divorced yet, but I was already gone in every way that mattered. Then one night, around 11:30, my sister called. I probably should have waited until morning, she said. But you need to see something. She sent me a screenshot of a Reddit post. It was in one of those relationship subs. The title hit me like a punch. Wife sent my side chick a video of me leaving our house at night. Now she's ghosted me and my wife left. What now? I read every word. It was Marcus. The details matched. The apartment, the footage, even the bit about the key. He made himself sound like the victim. Said I was emotionally unstable after a miscarriage and that he just needed comfort. Claimed I blew up his life because of grief. The comments dragged him. People called him selfish, manipulative, a cheater, a coward. Some told him to apologize and let me go. Others told him I should have burned his stuff and keyed his truck. I didn't comment. I didn't message him. I didn't need to. But it got worse. The next day, I went to the grocery store near the rental. As I was leaving, I passed a woman in the parking lot.
She stopped when she saw me.
Elise. I blinked. Yeah. She hesitated. I used to work with Marcus. At the old shipping yard before he moved to Covington.
Oh.
She looked uncomfortable. I saw that Reddit post. Someone I know screenshotted it. I recognized the story. I wasn't sure if I should say anything, but you're not the first. Madison wasn't either.
Il sert her.
What do you mean? I hooked up with him once. Back in 2021. I thought he was separated. He told me you were living apart because things were tense. But then I found out he was still married. When I confronted him, he blocked me. I felt like someone had dumped a bucket of cold water over me. Was it just you? I asked. She shook her head. I don't know how many. I just know I wasn't the only one at that job who had something going on with him. He was always real quiet at work, but sneaky. You know. I thanked her. Got in my car. Sat in the driver's seat staring at the dashboard. It was never just Madison. It was never just this one betrayal. This man had been cheating on me for years. I was building a life with someone who was using me as his cover. While I went to doctor's appointments and tracked ovulation and grieved our lost baby, he was sneaking around like none of it mattered. When I got home, I opened my laptop. I started digging. Old email drafts. Archived texts. His tablet, which I had grabbed when I left the house, thinking it was mine. Turned out it was his. He never locked it. There were messages going back years. Some short, some graphic. Some emotional. Most of them overlapped with times I thought we were working on us. He had women saved under fake names. Steve Tire Shop was a woman named Carly. Manny 24 Hours was a woman named Ray. He even had a whole separate email where he signed up for dating apps. Used a cropped photo that didn't show his wedding ring. And then I found something else. A message from Madison, sent about 2 months before the miscarriage. I'm not sure how much longer I can do this. You keep saying you're leaving her, but you never do. 2 months before I lost our baby. He had been feeding her lines. Telling her he was going to leave me. That I was the problem. That I was too emotional. I thought the worst thing that ever happened to me was losing my baby. Turns out, the worst thing was realizing the person I loved most had been lying to me for years, and I never even saw it. But now I knew. And knowing gave me something new. Control. I wasn't going to scream or beg. I wasn't going to destroy his truck or burn his clothes. I had a better plan. One that would cost him more than just his comfort. I just needed a little more time. After I found those old messages and emails, I sat at the kitchen table and cried harder than I had since the miscarriage. But it wasn't just grief anymore, it was fury. He didn't just cheat. He built a whole second life behind my back and used my pain to excuse it. He didn't break my heart once. He chipped away at it slowly over years until nothing was left. And then he said I was too broken. I wasn't broken. I was done. I spent the next 3 weeks putting together a plan. See, Marcus had always liked control. He liked being the quiet one in the room. The guy no one suspected. The guy who looked responsible and loyal. So I hit him where it hurt, his image. I had everything I needed. The doorbell footage, screenshots of texts, emails, his Reddit confession, even a few photos I pulled from his dating app profiles. I created a burner email and sent a full anonymous package to the HR department of the security company he worked for. I also sent it to the local warehouse's management. The subject line was simple: Employee misconduct, security risk, Marcus D. Covington site. I didn't stop there. I also printed out physical copies of his texts with Madison, the dating profiles, and the Reddit post, and mailed them in a plain envelope to his mother. She and I never got along, but she always preached loyalty and family values like it was gospel. She worshipped Marcus, thought he walked on water. She called me 2 days later. "Elise," she said, voice shaking. "I'm so sorry. Not your fault," I told her. She started crying. I thought he was better than this. I didn't know. I didn't forgive her. But I didn't hang up either. Meanwhile, Marcus finally realized something bigger was happening when he got called into HR. He texted me, "Why are you doing this? This is cruel."
No.
Cruel was leaving your wife alone to grieve the death of your child while you crawled into bed with the woman across the street. Cruel was making me feel like I wasn't enough, while juggling 3 other women behind my back. He didn't get to define cruelty anymore. A week later, he was fired. Not just because of the cheating, but because he used company equipment, his work tablet, for personal messages and dating apps. That violated several of their policies, including using secure devices to access adult content. And I wasn't done yet. Remember that $3,200 in the safe? Turns out he never reported it on our joint taxes. He kept it hidden. Probably more where that came from. I gave my lawyer the info. We opened an audit. During the divorce, Marcus fought me over everything. The house, the savings, even the damn couch. But I had receipts. I had timestamps. I had a case file thicker than a phone book. My lawyer shredded him in court. He ended up walking away with none of the equity from the house, had to pay half of my legal fees, and lost his right to any shared assets. The judge even looked disgusted at him by the end. "You had a wife who supported you," she said. "And this is how you repay her? This isn't just a divorce. It's a disaster of your own making." He didn't say a word. After the court ruling, I left the building and saw him sitting on the curb, alone. In the same wrinkled dress shirt he wore the day we buried our baby. I didn't say anything. I walked right past him. But the real revenge? It didn't come from the courts, or the job, or even his mother. It came later. About 2 months after the divorce was finalized, I got a call from Madison. I didn't recognize the number, but I picked up. "Elise? It's Madison. I know I'm the last person you want to hear from, but can we talk?" I agreed to meet her at a coffee shop. I didn't do it for closure. I did it because I wanted to see what she looked like when the mask fell off. She looked tired.
Pale.
Smaller than I remembered. "He told me you hit him," she said right away. "Told me you cheated. Told me you were pregnant with someone else's baby and tried to pass it off as his." I didn't say anything. I just stared. "I believed him," she said, voice cracking. "I'm so ashamed." I let her sit in the silence. "I just thought you should know," she continued. "He tried coming back to me.
Said he'd changed.
Said he was done lying. And then I found out he was seeing another woman in Newport. Same story. Same lies." I raised my eyebrows. "He doesn't stop," she whispered. "He doesn't care about anyone but himself." I nodded. "I know." She looked down.
"I'm sorry."
"I'm not the one who needs to hear it," I said. "But I hope you mean it anyway." We parted ways after that. And me? I started over. I moved to a new place.
Got a better job.
I still go to therapy. I still grieve what I lost. But I'm no longer grieving him. Marcus lost everything.
His job.
His money. His public image. His future. He's working part-time at a gas station now. Word got around. No one wants to hire a man who can't keep his hands, or his lies, to himself. Last I heard, he's alone.
No Madison.
No new girlfriend. Living in a one-bedroom apartment with no furniture but a mattress on the floor and a broken TV. And me?
I'm healing.
Not because karma fixed things for me, but because I made damn sure it didn't miss a single step. Every lie, every betrayal, every time he made me feel like I wasn't enough, it all came back to him. And I didn't have to raise my voice once.